The college entrance exam results are out. My childhood sweetheart became the provincial top scorer. I sat in his courtyard. Watching the admissions teachers surround him, he calmly cracked sunflower seeds. Looking at Heetsinlin, lonely, small, and helpless. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. At that moment, my childhood sweetheart, that scoundrel, shouted in the crowd. He scored 725 points, just 2 points less than me, go find him. At the same time, the phones of the two admissions team leaders rang simultaneously. The second-place scorer isn't at home. Said he went to visit a friend's house. The kid isn't answering his phone, it's really worrying. My eyes met with the teachers. Welcome to the full story of my tale. Your Divine Series Sweet Story blogger is none other than me. I am Sujin. Here begins the main text. The college entrance exam results are out. My childhood sweetheart became the provincial top scorer. I sat in his courtyard, watching the admissions teachers surround him, calmly cracking sunflower seeds. Shall he come to our university? Everyone here is your family. We are a big family. Shall he? Your uncle was a student at B University. Wouldn't coming to B University feel more familiar? Shall he's uncle graduated 10 years ago. I watched Heetsinlin, lonely, small, and helpless, and couldn't help but laugh out loud without restraint. A certain teacher came over to cozy up. Little classmate, are you also taking the college entrance exam this year? I nodded. How many points did you score? Are you and little he classmates a couple? I sense trouble. My damn childhood friend shouted out in the crowd. He scored 725 points. Just 2 points less than me, go find him. At the same time, the phones of the two admissions team leaders rang simultaneously. The second-place scholar is not at home. Said to have gone to a friend's house for a visit. That kid isn't answering his phone, it's really worrying. My gaze met with the teachers. After a while, the teacher spoke into the phone. He's at the top scholar's house, everyone come over. So the person being surrounded changed from just Heetsinlin to both of us together. Whoever's good person chooses a university is like being interrogated. Next to us were the admissions team teachers from 2 schools, and senior students took turns trying to brainwash us. As they spoke, they even started arguing among themselves. Heetsinlin and I exchanged glances, using our eyes to signal to each other which school to choose. Before the college entrance exam, we had argued about whether to choose University A or University B. At that time, I had said University A. The intended major to choose is either software engineering or finance. Popular majors make it easier to start a business and become a boss after graduation. If all else fails, one can still be a highly educated worker. Heetsinlin seemed to deliberately oppose me by saying, it's much cheaper, so he wants to apply for law. In the future, he'll earn money from capitalists. In the end, both of us are money-driven, taking different paths to the same destination. People from both schools are putting in their utmost effort. The top scholar and the second-place winner cannot both be secured. At least one should be obtained. As for the provincial third place, his score was more than 10 points lower than both of ours. It should also be a sure bet for the top, the two of us might. Still, because of that damn competitive spirit between the two schools. Seeing both sides engaged in a war of words, sparks flying. The two of us didn't show any reaction. Admissions officer from University A. Students, do you have a preferred major in mind? When it comes to betraying each other, our tacit understanding is highly aligned, I smiled. Student he likes law. Student Heetsinlin Su likes software engineering and finance. As soon as the words were spoken, the teacher from University A immediately mentioned these 3 majors. Our school is among the nation's top in all of them. The teacher from University B next door was not to be outdone. What nonsense are you saying? Clearly, our University B is the most top-notch. How can University A compare with University B? Our University B is the top one. Finally, Heetsinlin's mother brought out some fruits and snacks, easing the verbal dispute, and the teachers asked her, what is this parent's opinion? The top scorer's mother smiled gracefully. Our family has always respected our child's own thoughts. Finally, the head of the admissions team from University B pushed his glasses and said, students, it's getting late. Shall we go grab something to eat and continue our discussion? Talking while eating sounds good. then representatives from both universities. Took one of us each. And we got into their respective cars. I got into University B's car, where University B's teachers and senior students sat, eyeing me with keen interest. A handsome and cheerful senior student started talking as if we were old friends. Junior, and your boyfriend? No, since childhood. I've been too lazy to explain. If only they had seen the fights between Zealand and me during elementary and middle school in Heshenlin, they wouldn't think there's any chance between us. To some extent, our current achievements, some credit goes to our rivalry since childhood. Of course, it doesn't stop me from wishing that Zealand's mother had given birth to a sister for me. Despite my denials, they didn't take it seriously and revealed a knowing smile. I understand. Is high school romance really not allowed? You are good friends. The senior, speaking from experience, confided in me to serve the junior, this good friend. If you are far apart for a long time, feelings can easily grow distant. Look at how close your relationship is. It would be a shame if we grew apart. People might think that the two schools are far apart. A beautiful senior student nearby shouted on the street. It would be best if both of you came to our University B. Majors that you are interested in are among the top in the country, and even internationally. Our programs are ranked among the top nationally and internationally. The admissions teachers offered the most tempting incentives, Sue. If you come to our school, you can easily win scholarships. You can also choose any major you like. Most importantly, our vacation is much longer than that of university and next door. Otherwise, how could they be teachers from top schools? Their ability to control people's hearts is truly remarkable. My gaze wandered for a moment. Otherwise, why don't you guys tell us? The teachers from the law school admissions team called my mom and Senlin's family, saying they'd take us out and not to worry. Teachers and seniors from both schools shared their experiences on choosing schools and majors, as well as participating in competitions after enrollment or evaluating scholarship content. We also kept up with food and fun. Hot pot, milk tea, barbecue, all enjoyed with seniors. Playing werewolf. I felt a bit uneasy. When they sent us back, they all said, "See you tomorrow." Singlin asked me, "Sujin, which school do you think is better?" He added, "Actually, I think B University's software engineering and finance are also great." I looked up at him. "Have you chosen a school?" Singlin hesitated for a moment. She seemed to be observing my expression. "I think a university's law program is also quite good. Do you think I should consider it?" I said I wouldn't, because any external factors unrelated to planning would change my decision. I hope you wouldn't either. Even though Sunlin and I have been in the same class since elementary school, it doesn't affect the decision I'm making now in the slightest. I don't accommodate anyone, nor do I want anyone to accommodate me. This can be considered one of the more peaceful conversations between us. Just now, while playing werewolf, I was let down by my teammate, and even got beaten up by him. He didn't give me any leeway either. It was pretty much a mutual fight between the two of us, until we heard a senior nearby excitedly say to her classmate, "I'm totally shipping them." Zealine and I, with constipated expressions, called a truce. Early the next morning, before I woke up, my dad came knocking on my door to get me up, saying, "Teachers from both schools have arrived." Bleary-eyed, I glanced at my phone. After getting up at 7 a.m., I listened to the teachers from both schools, who were worried that the other side might pull some tricks. Last night, they stayed downstairs in our neighborhood for a long time before leaving. The hotel staff came again early this morning, no joke. These 2 days when the college entrance exam results came out were when my value was at its highest. In the end, I stuck to my initial choice, the software engineering major at University A. The admissions officer from University B left regretfully. The remaining teacher from University A watched me fill out my application and didn't leave until they saw that I had used up all my modification chances. That same day, I heard that Zealand had chosen to study law at University B. As expected, banners celebrating Zealand and me were hung up in the neighborhood. Our community proudly boasted a provincial top scorer and a Tsinghua scholar. Neighbors from all around wanted to come and share in our academic fortune. Mine and Zealand's college entrance exam notes were divided among the younger siblings in the neighborhood, who would take the exam in the next year or two. In a few days, my parents said they would discuss with Hisenlin's family about hosting a joint celebration banquet for both of us. The two families have a good relationship, so I'm used to it. Until the day of the celebration banquet, I wore a blue and white dress. Hisenlin was in a tailcoat. My parents and Hisenlin's parents discussed having us walk a red carpet together. It dawned on me that something was off. It wasn't just about celebrating good exam results. The banquet felt more like an engagement party. Many relatives and friends were present. We were caught in a dilemma, walking a stretch with awkward smiles. Hisenlin, that guy, even put on airs, asking me to take her arm. I smiled through gritted teeth. Why don't you take my arm, Hisenlin? Upon reflection, it made sense, so he took my arm. The smile on my face froze for a moment. The smiles on the faces around us also seemed to freeze. Hisenlin acted as if he hadn't noticed, seemingly completely unaware of the oddity of our posture. She is 185 centimeters tall, and I am 164 centimeters. The decimal point is our last stubbornness towards each other. But I was wearing high heels. Now my height is close to 1.7 meters. It's still okay. Several of our guest teachers also attended the promotion banquet. Compliments were thrown out, as if they were free. Before the college entrance exam, our homeroom teacher was afraid that Hisenlin and I would develop feelings over time. Now, after a few drinks, our homeroom teacher blurted out to both sets of parents, "The two kids look really well matched." Fortunately, the college celebration banquet lasted only a day, and it passed in a flash. My facial muscles were stiff from smiling. Almost every time I met an elder, I could reflexively put on a fake smile. Hisenlin criticized them for being hypocritical, while I responded with a smile that was 3 parts disdain, 3 parts mockery, and 4 parts nonchalance. Same to you, I've already chosen my school. Finally, I welcomed a carefree summer vacation. Sleeping until I woke naturally, staying up until the rooster crowed. My dad said I was too idle, and told me to learn something. Hisenlin, however, said he was working hard to support his studies. When I asked on WeChat, that rascal was gaming for others. But to be fair, after competing with Hisenlin for so many years, suddenly stopping made me feel a bit empty in life. It was like I had fallen seriously ill. Later, I asked my mom for some funds to go traveling. Later, I heard that Hisenlin, due to his severe internet addiction, was dragged by his father to work in the family company. He looked quite pitiful. There wasn't much I could do to help him, so I silently sent him various beautiful photos from my travels, hoping to comfort him. Hisenlin almost broke up with me, thank him. My journey is happier because of this. The summer vacation passed so quickly. In the blink of an eye, it's September and school has started. My classmates are basically the top 50 in the college entrance examination in each province. There are also recommended students who do not take the college entrance examination at all. But the champions all have a clear look of foolishness in their eyes, only caring about whether the cafeteria food is good is really great. Everyone is down to earth. Then we participated in the upcoming half-month military training together. Tan 2 shades darker. University A and University B are indeed very close. So close that Hisenlin still has the leisure to come to see me. The military training uniforms of the two schools are actually exactly the same. His appearance is not abrupt, but her laughter is particularly piercing. "How did you get so tanned, little black girl?" Hahaha, I glared at him, staring at her intensely, still enduring humiliation and asking the question hidden in my heart for a long time. "So which sunscreen do you use?" Hisenlin has nothing to do with sunscreen. The training area of our class has a sunshade above. Mainly physical sunscreen, right? Comparing people, it's infuriating. Considering he brought me watermelon ice, I didn't make a fuss about this kid's unrighteous act of watching the joke. The break time was very short. Hisenlin quickly slipped back. The duration of military training at the two schools was almost the same. But University A was a bit longer than University B. On the penultimate day, as soon as I returned to the dorm, I saw a post on my social media feed. Someone posted a video chatting about University B. In the video of the freshmen's military training cultural performance, There was a guy wearing military training pants on the lower half and a black short sleeve on the top. A boy was dancing hip-hop on stage to the music. A fair-skinned handsome guy moved his body to the rhythm of the music. It has to be said that Xinglin really showed off. As everyone knows, the military training cultural performance has the ability to let college students gain 4 years of dating rights in advance. Of course, I know that Xinglin has some talents, not to mention I've known her since we were in diapers. Our moms regularly discuss parenting tips. We both grew up with the same parenting guide. When we were a few years old, our parents discussed sending me to learn some talents. My mom suggested I learn to play a musical instrument. My dad recommended I take up boxing. When I asked Xinglin's parents next door, they were sending their child to learn ballet, which was quite a rebellious move. After several twists and turns, Xinglin finally escaped ballet and turned to street dance. Occasionally, I dabbled in piano and guitar, while I pursued boxing. Later, my mom saw how cool others looked doing street dance, so she sent me there as well. Xinglin and I competed with each other in the hobby class. And during exams, we still had to call our parents. At least now everyone has a skill to rely on. Some people in my social circle are still chasing after handsome guys. But my competitive spirit reawakened after the college entrance exams. When it came time for the university military training talent show, I also participated. I performed a street dance so cool it left no room for competition. Great. That night I won the admiration of many girls. Let's not talk about the right to choose a partner. It was only afterwards that I discovered the benefits of being a campus celebrity. Apparently before university my classmates, they were all prominent figures in their schools. University is a rather magical place that emphasizes comprehensive development. When joining clubs, seniors will suddenly pop up and kindly ask, "Are you the freshman who performed street dance at the military training gala?" Not exaggerating. It feels like the whole school is my network. But they ask me why I didn't join the street dance club. It would be quite impolite to go to the IT club instead. Fortunately, Xinglin received similar treatment to mine at school. I felt balanced in my heart, and one day when I returned to the dorm, I overheard my roommate discussing the newly arrived campus belle and heartthrob from the neighboring school. I went to take a look, and was caught off guard to see Xinglin's face. Among the candidates for the campus heartthrob, is he really that handsome? Previously, more than one classmate had told me that I might have known Xinglin for too long, to the point of being immune to his beauty. Conversely, Xinglin felt the same way about me. Of course, I would mock Xinglin about something like this. Quickly took a screenshot and sent it over, Sent it before finishing. Similar to what Xinglin sent. The difference in content is, the protagonist above is me, using a photo from military training. Tammy grinning widely. That smile was as radiant as a blooming flower. She even thoughtfully added, "Why aren't you smiling anymore? Is it because you're not naturally inclined to smile?" Some people can become lifelong rivals, and there's a reason for that. The reason is simple. Some people in college really have too much free time, while others are as busy as little spinning tops. Even though it's not far from by university, I actually haven't visited the neighboring school much, nor have I met Xinglin often. I've been busy with coursework, club activities, teaming up with classmates and seniors to participate in competitions, occasionally having to spare time for sudden unexpected events. Some admirer from another major came seeking me out. The first time someone confessed to me, I instinctively blurted out, "No early dating," only to realize later, I've reached an age where early dating isn't a concern anymore. But dating would only slow down my studies. My roommate says I am not majoring in software engineering. I practiced the emotionless path. During holidays, I still arranged to go home with Xinglin. After entering university, it seems like he suddenly unlocked his potential. This guy has reached a level in fashion, to the extent of a peacock spreading its tail. Sometimes when I walk by Xinglin, I have the illusion of being mocked to the point of arthritis. He is indeed very serious about making money. I heard that not long after starting university he went to model for merchants on Taobao. Occasionally he also finds time for video editing. and created a self-media account online. He has already become a self-sufficient rich man. I shed tears, but fortunately, he remembers not to forget his old friends when he becomes wealthy. Occasionally, when merchants are short of female models, they ask me to be a substitute. When she invites me out for meals, she willingly pays. She doesn't realize how significant such a small gesture is to a poor soul striving hard on the path to wealth. Heetsingling expressed a confusion akin to a mourning man. I shouldn't be wealthy just since today, right? My integrity gradually vanished under the corrosion of money. I clung to his leg. No, Brother Lin, I still. Only recently did I discover how your stature became so grand. Heetsingling covered his eyes, gritting his teeth, feeling somewhat embarrassed. I stood up, casually brushing the dust off my clothes. I also swept a glance at the curious looks around me. It's not a big deal. Heetsingling is not old enough to be my sugar daddy, so there shouldn't be too many strange looks. After this meal, we boarded a flight home for the winter break. What's sad is, when I told my dear parents about my intention to start a business, their expressions were quite subtle. My father's eyes flickered. My dear, our family isn't exactly wealthy, but by the time you graduate, we will have enough money to buy you a house and a car in Beijing. But if you start a business, you might lose it all. Do you remember my mom? When you were little, our family was quite well off. But your dad insisted on starting a business. Later, the company went bankrupt. She spent all the savings your grandfather left. It took a long time before he found his current job. A job with an annual salary of $1 million. My mom's point is, some people are just not cut out to be bosses like your dad. When he was a boss, he lost everything. But as an employee, he even gets year-end bonuses. I might have inherited his genes. In the end, I decided to stick close to my mentor. Follow him to find a few angel investors. During the new year, I became a human figurine. Wherever I went, my parents took me along, just to show off that they have a grown-up daughter. But every time at the dinner table, they missed the point. My dad said proudly, "My daughter was very thin when she first came back for the holidays. Now she's finally put on some weight." And my mom couldn't stop smiling. A girl looks better with a little bit of flesh. It's not what they meant. Are you saying I've gained weight? Until after the Spring Festival, when I coincidentally met He Zhengming on the neighborhood road. I burst out laughing. The food must be good. I broke down. I really broke down. I wanted to punch the world into pieces, but I failed. He Sunlin took out a box of chocolates from his pocket. Someone like me, who is considering starting a business. A brand that a poor guy wouldn't be willing to buy. Here, it's for you. I tentatively asked a question. A gift from your admirer. He Zhengling. How come I haven't even bought a box of chocolates as a betrothal gift? I took the chocolates, muttering to myself. But he doesn't seem like the kind of good guy who would buy something specifically for me. So give it back. I immediately hid the chocolates behind my back. There's no way something that's entered my pocket is coming out again. You're dreaming. He Zhengling leisurely pulled out a fluffy white thing from another pocket. There's no way something that's entered my pocket is coming out again. I even suspect his pocket is. It's not Doraemon's pocket. How can it hold so much? With a childish voice, she asked, "Is it a doggy or a tiny doggy?" I couldn't help but look over excitedly. Heetsingling, do you have a dog at home? Yeah, my mom said since the eldest son isn't home, she got a small version. He Sunlin whispered in a low voice. My mom really treasures me. I'm really envious of the one you sneaked out. Let me play with it. As expected, He Zhengling raised an eyebrow. She suddenly raised her hand high. The fluffy little chubby puppy also went up with it, yelping. Sometimes even dogs want to call the police. If you have the guts, come and take it. My 1.6-meter height isn't quite enough in front of Heetsingling. Watching his arms stretch upwards, the guy even used his other hand to press my head. A scholar can be killed but not humiliated. I just jumped up, wrapping my legs around his body, one hand on his shoulder, then reaching out. Heetsingling probably didn't expect me to be so serious. He was stunned for a moment, but I still couldn't reach the puppy in his hand. I was really scared. Heetsingling's voice rang in my ear. Come down quickly, or you'll fall. Realizing it belatedly, I noticed Heetsingling's other arm wrapped around my waist. Afraid I might fall, this position seemed a bit awkward. I silently landed and also got a milky-scented puppy. The puppy yelped in my arms, extremely adorable. The puppy really lived up to being raised like a son. Chubby as Sammy and warm and fluffy. Sunlin was still beside me, chattering away. You really looked like you were about to jump up and punch my knee, ha ha ha. I didn't even glance at her. Focused on bonding with the pet dog in my arms. Oh my, whose little puppy is this, so cute? Puppy, what's your name? I'm your sister Sue. Zunglin is called Lucky. The little puppy at Senlin's house completely reignited my love for small animals. After that, during the remaining winter break, I would visit his house whenever I had free time to play with the dog. I often visit his house to play with the dog when I have free time. His parents are very welcoming to me. It's just that every time Xiao is called out to greet guests, his dad calls me out to find. He's looking for my brother, not me. Sunlin also loves his little dog brother. It's just that he himself is a bit mischievous. Happy times always pass by so quickly. Chenlin and I still embarked on the journey back to school. It was Senlin's dad who drove us to the airport. Xingyan now runs incredibly fast. She followed us for quite a long distance. The little one looks heartbreaking. I took a nap on the plane. When I woke up leaning on Senlin's shoulder, she smiled. I stayed up late last night, feeling like a thief, rubbing my sore shoulders. Coding has made my head spin. After the semester started, I quickly immersed myself in new goals. Attending classes, participating in clubs, and being busy with various tasks after class. The meat I ate during the spring festival is disappearing at a visible rate, getting thinner. Fortunately, we are all in the same dormitory major. When it's time to stress, all four of us are stressing together. There must be truly leisurely professions out there, but software engineering is definitely not one of them. Sunlin and I keep in touch regularly. I get to see videos and photos of cute dogs from him. And it seems he's also being tormented by various law courses, which makes me happy knowing I'm not the only one suffering. After finals, I finally managed to snag an opportunity to assist in my advisor's lab. I told Sunlin that I'd be returning home later this summer, and if he wanted to go back earlier, he could go ahead without me. In any case, I then plunged into my advisor's lab. For some reason, Sunlin seemed to catch a bug. And she also stayed in the dorm for a long time, coming to have meals with me every few days each week, which led the seniors in the lab to mistakenly think he was my boyfriend, seriously damaging my reputation. Finally, in mid-August, we embarked on our journey home. My parents' first reaction upon seeing me was that I had lost weight, and they immediately started trying to fatten me up. But perhaps it's because I've been using my brain too much. They just couldn't manage to put the weight back on me. When it was time to leave for school again, it's evident that they are somewhat disheartened. After all, failing at pig farming is quite a blow to one's morale. Time flies swiftly. In the blink of an eye, I became a senior. Because of a photo taken when I was in my mother's womb, her face turned out quite well. With the top score in her major, she became what you might call a campus celebrity. Some good-looking juniors persistently pursued her for a while. Indeed, youthful bodies are full of vitality, but to be fair, both men and women can affect the speed at which I make my move. My roommate comments on my cold and unfeeling nature. Her achievements are everywhere. I don't date because I'm busy, and I haven't experienced it. But perhaps Xinglin doesn't date because she doesn't like humans. Her suitors aren't just from one school. There's a great beauty at our school. My roommate even reached the point of being swayed. She actually turned them down. Somewhat ungrateful, don't you think? My roommate told me to shut up, saying that between the two of us, it's like the pot calling the kettle black. He said that the junior who sent me flowers before was really handsome. The prelude broke the handsome guy's heart. They probably thought more than once that I and Xinglin and I probably had something going on. But in reality, we were just normally interacting. We ate and drank as usual, and kept in touch from time to time. I believe the relationship between us was as pure as that between family members. We were like fraternal twins from different parents, growing up together until the third year of university. I finally found my spiritual partner among the vast sea of people. 2 senior male students, a senior female student, and a pair of top student lovers from my same grade. The 6 of us formed a small studio. I deeply realized. Indeed, it's easier to fool college students who haven't entered society yet. I took out some money I had saved over the years to buy equipment, and then went to borrow some from Hee Sun Lin. I didn't ask before, but when I did I realized he was really rich, wow. Then, the few of us started working on software development. It was a very preliminary attempt. In the process, we actually needed to adjust to each other, and also required various exchanges and discussions on ideas and details. In summary, we were initially powered by passion, and the school had successfully applied for a subsidy for college student entrepreneurship, but the amount seemed like a drop in the bucket. During my sophomore year, I tried to develop a very rudimentary dating app. Later, with the help of my mentor's connections, I successfully sold it. The income wasn't much, only tens of thousands of yuan. Now the software has been launched and I've downloaded it. The software is vastly different from when it was sold. Not much remains from the past. In this industry, no one avoids staying up late. While working on development, I was also busy seeking investments. Of course, the first investment came from my parents. That year, the people around me were mainly my entrepreneurial partners. Honestly, none of us expected how long this shabby studio could last. But as they say, perseverance pays off. Eventually we really made it through. The couple from my class, however, remained as steadfast as gold. Their sun-like optimism infected us, who were just toiling away like gloomy dogs. I managed to drive away all my suitors through sheer competence. My roommates, busy preparing for graduate school or postgraduate entrance exams, commented that my path of detachment had reached enlightenment, with only a thunder tribulation left to ascend to immortality. Hee Sun Lin decided to pursue graduate studies first and prepare for securing a spot later. He was also very busy, but there were always many lively people around him. I can understand the joy of being single, but I always felt that a trendy guy like him should have been actively seeking a girlfriend during college, rather than being a bachelor who spends his free time playing games and quarreling with me to pass the days. His social media account already has millions of followers, and in the internet era, Hee Sun Lin could easily support himself through self-media. During the summer vacation of his junior year, he interned at a well-known law firm. That summer, neither of us went home. By the start of senior year, there were hardly any classes left. When winter came that year, my studio had taken shape, which was quite magical. The people I had initially brought in never left, and they were willing to pray for wealth with me, despite me being such a terrible boss. I managed to secure some investments, but inevitably, I had to deal with some social engagements at drinking tables. Drinking table culture is somewhat inevitable, and although I don't like it, every industry has its own rules. When I wasn't yet at a high enough level, I had to adapt to these rules myself. On the night of Christmas Eve, I accidentally dialed Hee Sun Lin's number while at a drinking table, but the noise in the private room was too loud. I didn't even notice my phone ringing. All kinds of sounds and messages came through. The other 2 gentlemen from the studio and I helped each other out, and immediately saw Hee Sun Lin waiting by the roadside. I thought it was a hallucination from drinking too much. But then I saw someone from Chownan walking towards me. She recently dyed her hair silver, which scared me even more. Woo-woo. Hee Sun Lin reached out and grabbed the collar of my shirt from behind, disgustedly asking, "How much have you drunk? How did you get here?" I asked Hee Sun Lin, "Did you call me?" "Oh," I responded. "How did you find your way here?" Hee Sun Lin chuckled with a smirk. "Asked your studio colleagues and they told me." Since starting the business, Hee Sun Lin has added the contact information of every key person under me. Came with a car to take us back. Yes, comparisons can be disheartening. I, the boss, haven't even bought a car yet. Hee Sun Lin has already got one. Although the car isn't expensive, but it was earned by himself. It's enviable to see. Hee Sun Lin has successfully secured a postgraduate recommendation. Now he is busy with internships and writing papers. Previously, for convenience, I rented a small apartment near the studio. As for the seniors, some live directly in the studio. Some, like me, have rented apartments. The rent here is actually not cheap. Fortunately, we made some small money before. And among my partners, There is also a pair of wealthy second-generation lovers. The guy's family is in real estate. He has older siblings to inherit the family fortune, so it's not his turn. He is the useless man in the family. He is destined to be dragged into a marriage alliance. Obviously, his family does not agree with him being with his girlfriend. But they haven't completely cut him off. They stopped some of his cards, leaving only the card for living expenses, saying that he can carve out a world by his own efforts, to be with whoever he loves. What is both happy and sad is that the living expenses of the wealthy second generation are really not small. Zhenglin has been busy in the kitchen for a long time to make me a hangover soup. I sat on the sofa, teasing him for being like a housewife. I did all this for the sake of water. She came out and said something speechless, watching me drink the hangover soup. But it's snowing outside. It's not that driving a car is unsafe. And the dormitory downstairs should be locked by now. We both stared at the snow outside the window for a while. And I spoke first. How about you spend the night at my humble place? Zhenglin smiled. Using honorifics now. Is your invitation sincere? I nodded vigorously. Sincere, sincere. Where do I sleep? My gaze fell on the floor beside the bed. Zhenglin, luckily I have an extra blanket here. With the heating, Zhenglin shouldn't freeze here. The space isn't big, and the sofa is only for two. He is quite tall. Sleeping on the floor would be more comfortable. We've known each other for over 20 years, and the situation is special. The cohabitation ritual probably won't be great. That's what I thought. Anyway, letting him drive back by himself in the middle of the night. I feel quite uneasy in my conscience. After drinking the hangover soup, I removed my makeup and washed up. I also prepared toiletries for Zhenglin. But there are no spare clothes. It doesn't matter whether to change or not in the deep winter. Finally, I lay down on the bed. I said goodnight to Zhenglin, who was under the bed. She reminded me to help me sleep better, not to roll down and hit him. At that time, I was quite naive, not knowing that being able to stay in the same room with a single man and woman at ease doesn't necessarily mean pure friendship. When I woke up early the next morning, I kept my eyes closed at first. My brain was still in the process of starting up, while my body had already subconsciously felt around to get off the bed to wash up. I had forgotten something. When my foot stepped down, I unexpectedly stepped on something and didn't react in time. I fell forward, without even having time to let out a shout. I bumped my head and hissed in pain. The next second, a man's sobbing sound came from beneath me. I realized belatedly. My brain reacted in a second. Then, I reflexively jumped up and knelt down aside. Zhenglin, are you okay? I hit you, I stammered. I didn't mean to. I forgot you were there. Zhenglin struggled to sit up, his body half curled up, arms braced on the edge of the bed. I seemed to see a kind of pain called man from her pitiful silhouette. Is this something I can bear? Zhenglin's pitiful voice came through. Sujin, don't try to harm me next time. Use some more humane methods. I was at a loss for a while. Finally, I cautiously said, would you like to go to the bathroom? If it's really bad, we can go to the hospital. This seems quite serious. Zhenglin, whether from pain or anger at me, he stopped talking. I also dared not speak. After what seemed like an eternity, Zhenglin finally moved. He slowly straightened up, and when he turned to look at me, I noticed the redness at the corners of his eyes, coupled with his pale skin. It was even more pronounced. There was a kind of fermented, complicated atmosphere. I am guilty. My CPU was almost burned out. Finally, it burned out a sentence, are you okay? Perhaps Zhenglin felt. This sentence insulted her noble and sensitive self-esteem. She was angry, but I observed. Zhenglin did not act inappropriately. It should be good, right? It should be a cause for celebration. My wrongdoing did not lead to a major disaster. The kidnapping incident involving Zhenglin. I treated them to a sumptuous meal. This money was well spent. I spent it willingly, but later on, Zhenglin might really have too much free time. No matter how busy he is, he would drive over. I stroll around this small house, buy some things to fill up my fridge, and even cook a 3-dish 1-soup meal to liven things up. A fairy tale girl appeared at home. The cottage is quite close to the studio. She drives to the studio every time to get the keys. Over time, My partner started looking at me and her with some suspicion. I felt this wasn't quite appropriate, so I simply gave the spare key to Hee Sun-lin to stop her from wandering around in front of my colleagues. This led to situations where I would come home exhausted, only to find Hee Sun-lin curled up on my small sofa, laughing foolishly at a TV drama. Jokingly thought of sending her to do some shady work, but there's no way. She can cook, and after knowing her for so many years, it's only recently that I found out. Hee Sun-lin is really good at housework, a man. Given that every time he appears, my messy little house gets a makeover, I tacitly allowed his presumptuous behavior, treating my little house as a leisure zone. But perhaps because of the only time he stayed over, her experience was truly heart-wrenching. He has never stayed over. But over time, I also started to feel something was off. So I took advantage of the weekend to return to my long-lost dormitory. Among the other 3 people in the dormitory, 1 successfully secured a postgraduate recommendation. 2 had just finished their postgraduate entrance exams and hadn't left yet. Regarding this issue, I sought their advice. Xiao Chun is a pure and unpretentious beauty. Over the years of university, under our witness, she has had 3 love affairs. Not only did she win over a cold senior and a sports-oriented junior, she even had a relationship with a minor 18-line celebrity. Recently, because the pressure of the postgraduate entrance exam clouded her mind, she decided to return to her true self, staying single and enduring for a while to recuperate. The other 2 also had romantic experiences during university. So Xiao Chun, who fully deserves the position of my think tank. There's something I've been wanting to ask for a long time. You 2 are childhood sweethearts, so close that. Is it not awkward living under the same roof? Xiao Li's eyes revealed a clear sense of foolishness unaware. Xiao Jiang, the not-so-handsome childhood friend, added, not so handsome, but helps with daily tidying up. A childhood friend, who can cook 3 dishes and a soup. Their conclusion was, either Hee Sun-lin likes me, or he's sick. I think the latter is more likely. After all, according to my logic, a rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its burrow. Hee Sun-lin doesn't seem like someone with such poor foresight. We've seen each other in so many embarrassing situations, and we've known each other since we were in the womb. It would be awkward to go home during holidays if we fell out, they said. If you want to determine whether you have feelings for someone, think about whether you would dislike kissing them. If you don't dislike it, it means there's a chance. After being enlightened by the strategists, I had an epiphany. Then I started my daily overtime mode, sometimes even sleeping directly in the studio. It didn't take long before 2 single senior colleagues living in the office filed a complaint. They accused me of not going home at night and disrupting their straight male leisure time. They said having to stay with a female boss after work kept them on edge. Tears streamed down my face. So they still saw me as the opposite sex all along. How touching, seniors. I advised them to just pretend I didn't exist. The seniors said they were too stressed. If they're stressed, they might not be able to handle the programming code. I can only leave work on time and go home. I left quietly without a sound. I went to check if Hee Sun-lin's car was in the parking spot. I didn't see it. It seems he's not here. I relaxed, humming a tune as I headed home. Just as I entered and turned around, I was startled by a figure on the sofa and stammered, "You're here." Hee Sun-lin sat on the sofa, looking up upon hearing the noise. When he saw me, he scoffed and deliberately glanced at my car. "You only came home because I wasn't here, huh? Thought you could escape me." He laughed like a villain whose plan had succeeded. I am a very stubborn person, and there's no way I would ever admit it. Hee Sun-lin stood up, and with his height, combined with his regular fitness routine, he actually appeared quite tall and imposing in front of me. I silently took a step back, while Hee Sun-lin stepped forward. He spoke up, "You've been avoiding me lately." I looked up. Meeting Hee Sun-lin's eyes, I exuded confidence. "Me? Avoiding you? How could I? You've practically been living at the office for a week," Hee Sun-lin said calmly. "Sneaking home during the day to shower and change clothes. You're quite something, Director Su. Going back to your own home like a thief. You used to reply to my messages instantly. Now it's like waiting for reincarnation, huh?" His words made me too embarrassed to argue. I've just been busy lately. Playing strange tales with me, are you? Zhonglin looked down into my eyes. I naturally couldn't meet his gaze, but when one feels guilty, their presence diminishes by half. She probably couldn't understand why I was suddenly avoiding her for no reason. Let me explain, my eyes darting around. I've been pondering a question recently. Zhonglin remained silent, continuing to stare at me with a smile. Can men and women have a purely platonic friendship? Zhonglin seemed to think of something, letting out a cold laugh. Oh, so the engineering mind is now pondering such dialectical relationships. Such dialectical relationships. He seemed to be sarcastically implying that I was uncertain. Upon closer inspection, it really seemed so, but what then? I spoke while observing his expression. Everyone says that pure friendship between men and women is impossible. But I feel like what we have is quite pure. You've also never had a girlfriend. So I paused for a moment. Under Zhonglin's gaze, I slowly voiced my doubt. Do you like men? Silence enveloped Zhonglin, and he left, upset by me. Before leaving, he didn't forget to throw a couple of sarcastic remarks my way. Avoiding me for days, and now you've learned to spread rumors. Well done, Manager Sue. For several days after that, Zhonglin ignored me. I happened to be quite busy with financing matters, helping out at the company, promoting my own projects. Being busy indeed left no time to overthink. Only at night before sleep did I have time to ponder. Usually, before I could come to any conclusion about Zhonglin, I would fall asleep. Now it was his turn to come and trouble me. But it wasn't long before Zhonglin appeared at my doorstep again. Seeing him, I was momentarily stunned, thinking my aging eyes were deceiving me with hallucinations. Only when I got closer did I realize he was real. I'm puzzled, didn't you have the key? Why didn't you go in? Zhonglin raised her hand and placed a set of keys in my palm. He said, I'm going on a business trip for a while. The car is parked at your place. You can drive it if you need to. Normally, it's not ideal to lend out a car. I haven't had much chance to drive since I got my license. I asked her blankly, what if I crash it? Zhonglin called me. I'm currently calling the insurance company. Suddenly, I felt that he was quite nice to me. It's different from the kindness before high school, it's a bit altered. So I weighed my words carefully. Zhonglin, let's just say. Is there a possibility? If you don't dislike humans, and you're not gay, then do you like me? Do you like me? As soon as the words left my mouth, the air fell silent for a moment. I was still thinking about how to resolve this awkward situation. How could I salvage this situation? But the next moment, Zhonglin's lips twitched into a smile. How could she smile at a time like this? However, the next second, she raised her hand and gently pinched my chin. I was forced to look up and meet his gaze. He looked into my eyes and said, only then did I realize. I widened my eyes. But Zhonglin glanced at the time and said I had to catch a flight. We'll talk when I get back. Remember to reply to my messages these days. He seems like a playboy, throwing out a line that stirs the heart. Then patted my head and left, leaving me bewildered. In the following days, he resumed chatting with me as usual, even more frequently than before. Daily inquiries about meals and work, sharing strange cases he encountered on his business trips. Seemingly no different. But in every aspect it felt different. As soon as the phone vibrated, I immediately reached for it. The girl from the couple next to me said leisurely, I was like this too when I first started dating. I couldn't help but look at my boyfriend's phone when it vibrated. I'm still like this now. When I'm not with you, I know it's you looking for me as soon as it vibrates. A week later, Zhonglin returned and asked me out for dinner. The location was set at a very upscale restaurant, a place I usually only go to with my parents or when meeting clients. This guy is really rich, wow. Zhonglin could completely erode my bottom line with money. In the upscale Western restaurant, lyrical music began to play. There were also graceful and attentive waiters. It seemed to forebode something. But Zhonglin, let's eat first, I'm very hungry. So the two of us buried ourselves in eating. When we were almost done eating, after Zhonglin paid the bill, he asked me if I wanted to go out for a walk. I thought I could walk a bit since I was full. The Christmas decorations from more than half a month ago were still hanging outside. It wasn't cold tonight. Maybe it was because I was wearing more clothes. When we walked to a less crowded place, I looked down. I saw Heetsingleen's hand near mine slightly move. I reached out my hand, then looked up at her. Do you want to hold hands? Heetsingleen was stunned for a moment. Looking down at our hands pressed together. Subconsciously moved, fingers interlocked, I asked him. Are you going to confess? After a while, Heetsingleen sighed. It seemed that she had some opinions about my approach to software engineering, she said. The flowers I bought are still in the car, let's go back and get them, I asked. So we walked back hand in hand. Halfway through she stopped me. So you agreed? I raised the hand that was intertwined with hers, otherwise when did Heetsingleen? I haven't confessed yet. He's quite persistent about this process. I let go of her hand. Then we'll sign later, Heetsingleen. Bought flowers and put them in the trunk. It's a transparent acrylic flower box. Filled with red roses and other decorations, it looks quite beautiful. I glanced at Heetsinglin beside me again, silently marveling in my heart. As expected of what Chownan bought. Even the red roses are bought a bit differently from others. Heetsinglin's confession was unexpectedly serious. Seems like he was even fired. Asked him when he started liking me, he was stunned for a moment. Can't quite remember. We're too familiar. It took some time to figure out what kind of feelings they were. We looked at each other. Dryly said me too. Which good person bickers for over 20 years? Only to end up in a relationship where we kiss. That guy even bought a confession gift, a watch. And a couple's version. I'm together with Heetsingleen. This is when talking to roommates. They finished my path of ruthlessness. Just before facing the ascension lightning tribulation. Encountering such a scenario. Not to mention anything else. Returning home for the new year. Hiding it from both families. Sneaking out to kiss. It's really thrilling, Heetsingleen. This man is good at kissing. His lips are so soft. Her family's dog is really cute. And Sister Lucky, love you woo woo. After successfully graduating from university for 4 years, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to my career. Heetsingleen once stayed in my small house during the summer vacation. She did laundry, bought groceries, cooked everything. After holding back for more than half a month, I additionally provided a bed warming service. Didn't know until I slept, only to find out this guy has such a great figure. My company started to get on track. During the 3 years Heetsingleen was studying for her master's degree, I became a real general manager. The company expanded, hired new people, moved to a new location. I also rented a bigger house. Every time I came back from work and saw a student like man hooking my finger and calling me General Manager Sue, I always had the illusion that I had kept a male graduate student. This guy really loves to play into this persona. This kind of life really corrodes my bottom line. During Heetsingleen's second year of graduate school, his gaming equipment seemed to have some issues, and he planned to get it fixed when he had time. Coincidentally, her birthday was approaching, so I bought her a brand new set, including a CPU, motherboard, graphics card, and more. I even bought a new mouse and keyboard. Honestly, I don't recommend giving such luxurious gaming equipment to a boyfriend, because you might lose a boyfriend and gain a grandson instead. That night the girlfriend, gifting him a full set of equipment, was spread around so much that even his dog knew about it. Meanwhile, I enjoyed Heetsinglin's thoughtful foot washing service, even though it was the night of his birthday. Later, after Heetsinglin graduated from graduate school, he ran over to me with a smile and handed me his business card, saying, if Sue Company needs anything in the future, please feel free to ask Lawyer He to serve you wholeheartedly. Our relationship became known to our families, only because we were caught kissing by his parents at his house. During the New Year family dinner at his house, he forgot to lock the door while kissing. Later, he tried to justify it by saying locking the door would have been too obvious. Eventually, his parents apologized to us for entering the room without knocking. Later, his parents apologized to us for entering the room without knocking, saying they had violated our privacy. I really didn't need to be so understanding, uncle and aunt. After I cried my heart out, our parents got along more intimately. It was clear that both sides were very satisfied. When I was 28 years old, we were quite stable in our careers. Heetsingleen and others co-founded a firm, which was also doing well. At home, it was said that our relationship was stable, so we could consider getting married. I thought so too, and began secretly selecting an engagement ring. As for proposing, who wouldn't? Then on Valentine's Day, we went out for dinner. When everyone took out an engagement ring from their pockets, Sunlin and I both fell silent. We were already close, and had been in a relationship for several years. Now even our thoughts were in sync. Finally, we chose an auspicious day to register our marriage, and then slowly planned the wedding. When I was 30 years old, after our twin daughters were born, the house was bustling with activity. We bought 3 residences in the same community for our own living, one for each set of parents. Xingyun's uncle's family had a rather difficult time raising children. Not very dog-friendly. Sunlin, 30, insists on fitness. Occasionally wears gold-rimmed glasses. Gives off an impression of a cultured scoundrel. Very much like the fatherly 2D characters I was obsessed with in my early 20s. The love-addled brain seems to be a bit slow to realize, slowly awakening. Hope it doesn't affect my money-making. Extra Sunlin's perspective. I swear before college, my feelings for Su Jin were pure, in my sophomore year. She had a suitor who was very daring. I took his phone and looked. That guy's social media was full of fitness photos, clearly crafting an image. Fishing to seduce, just muscles. A certain teacher came over to be friendly. Little classmate. Are you also taking the college entrance exam this year? Not me. Why get a membership? My old competitive spirit, used to compete with Su Jin for first place, now turned into competing with her suitors over who has bigger pecs. I started to reflect. Finally realized I kind of want to kiss Su Jin chasing someone. Knowing someone for over 20 years is really hard. I even offered myself up. He didn't even glance at me. It's okay if the abs training goes to waste, I have patience. I will be the man behind the domineering CEO. So I have a wife. Others don't, the end. Just really bring out the night tomorrow. You all sing really well.